How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Friday, March 15th, 2024. I'm astrologer Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are doing great. We're halfway through March. This is my 100th video on this channel. I can't believe it. Pretty wild. This moon coming into Gemini today is going to get a little stir crazy. It's going to stir things up a little bit, for sure. It's going to square Venus. It will square Saturn. And then the moon will also get ready to square with the sun and Neptune together in Pisces. So we definitely want to, keep it cool, as cool as we can. Things can get a little circusy out there. So we want to, keep our emotions in check, and make sure that when, some difficulty comes up, we want to remain neutral with this moon square Venus. Things may not be what they look like. They could really test our values, and I think Venus is winning this battle here. So I think, it's not really a battle. It's somewhat of a conflict, but it's more of like, a lesson here. It's like, we don't just want to, say things without thinking about it. That could hurt people's feelings, right? Venus in Pisces is very sensitive. So we want to be very objective to your own personal emotional state and everybody around you's emotional state, right? This can get very kind of, out of our head. We can feel a little bit out of our heads today. So I think what it is, with this Venus, it's really, it's in its exaltation. So I think what it really is, what it comes down to is, we got to have compassion. We got to have awareness for other people. We got to accept other people's perspectives and opinions. And also at the same time, this moon in Gemini, we want to be neutral. We want to be able to look at things from both sides of things, from the emotional side, from the logical side. When we get into these mutable signs, this is what we call, this is why we call them mutable signs. If you think about the mutable signs, they're dual, right? They're dual in their nature. So there's always, two sides to everything when it comes to mutable signs, So with Gemini, it's all about our logic and our emotions, and that understanding of the balance of those two things. And with Pisces, it's our physical world and our non-physical world, our spirituality and our, reality. So I think being very detached at times today, we can feel very detached, but also, when emotional things kind of get over the top, which they definitely can, it can be very testy, just trying to think before we speak. The moon in Gemini never thinks before it speaks. It just will always say things even if it's not even true, right? We want to keep it honest here. The moon in Gemini, square Venus in Pisces, and a lot of Neptune energy. A lot of facts can get exposed today. If things aren't in an honest place, definitely some truths can be exposed here. So I definitely think, later throughout the day, this moon's going to square Saturn in Pisces too. So, yeah, coming into the afternoon, this moon will square Saturn at 11 degrees. So this is where the real test is. I think there's a trigger point in the morning with this moon squaring Venus where it's like in our relationships, we can really test our values. We can feel like someone is not really being thoughtful of, our feelings, and definitely compassion is going to win. So this is the test when the moon squares Saturn here later, throughout the early evening. This is whenever, the conversation can be had of like, damn, like, I didn't really like what you said. Like, I didn't really agree with what you said. That made me feel a certain way, and I want to express my feelings, And with this Pisces energy too, it's easy to really just not say how you feel, and just hold things in just to keep the peace, right? Like this moon in Gemini is really like wanting to just like have a debate, have the conversation. So this moon squaring Saturn is like, wow, like we really got to set some boundaries here. You crossed my boundaries, and the words and your tone really matter today. But I think, going into the weekend when the moon squares the sun with Neptune, like it's gonna get a little crazy, So this weekend, do all you can from Friday going into the weekend, which we'll talk about more in the weekend because there's a lot more things going on. But it's gonna get a little circusy out there. So you want to meditate and detach as much as you can and not get too overwhelmed, because there's going to be a lot of words coming at us here. There's going to be a lot of conversations, a lot of light and dark coming at us all at once, right? So, and I think too, like, this is that kind of energy where, we see people kind of freak out, We can definitely see some freak out energy over the next few days with this moon in Gemini. Stirring up, this moon in Taurus we just went through kind of grounded things, and all of a sudden this moon comes into Gemini and it's like, welcome to the fucking freak show, like, so be as neutral as you can. The moon in Gemini goes two ways. It either really just says things that aren't really true. It just wants to say things, just because it feels a certain way. And it could just go, and talk, just to fucking talk, right? I'm a Sagittarius, so here I am ripping on moon in Gemini. So if you have a moon in Gemini, I apologize, but come on. But the other side is, is being able to be neutral, be able to think before you speak, before you express your emotions. And that's the gift of Gemini, is being able to not really attach to the emotion and be able to see things from multiple angles, But at the same time, like Pisces, and this Venus and the Saturn in Pisces is so rooted in its beliefs and in its love and in its, responsibility and in its discipline and its spiritual discipline and its spiritual love, It's very attached to that part of ourselves, right? And this moon in Gemini, like, isn't really attached to much at all. It's just observing, and seeing things from both sides. So that can be the conflict, is that a lot of this Pisces energy, whoever's on the Pisces end of things, is like, they could be very much in their, righteousness, so to say. And this moon in Gemini can just kind of, come after that a little bit. So, because this moon in Gemini isn't really attaching to much at all, so that's the kind of the conflict, is this like attachment and detachment from two sides. And it's like, well, you should do this, you should practice this, you should believe in this. And this moon in Gemini was like, well, why do you believe in that? Why this, why that? It's like, I don't need that. Why, it could be those kinds of things, when it comes to our beliefs coming up a lot, and Jupiter's now at 14 degrees. So Jupiter's starting to really move here. It'll be out of shadow pretty soon. So like our lives are expanding very quickly, very rapidly. This Mercury's at 10 degrees varies. So Mercury's already in the second decan. So, Mars is dispositing Mercury. So with this moon in Gemini and Mercury in Aries and Mars dispositing Mercury, words can be very harsh, and it can come across a lot more harsh with Venus and the Sun and Neptune and Saturn in Pisces and this moon kind of giving hell to these four planets in Pisces. So, you can get a little aggressive with our words. Words can get really hot and really testy right now. But I think where we want to be and where we want to maintain a healthy vibration and a healthy relationship, because this is Venus and Pisces. This is a lot about relationship stuff, and this Mercury on its way to the North Node. A lot of karmic relationship stuff is coming up now, and definitely the conversations that are being had at this point is very much connected to this karmic stuff that's playing out with the North Node, that's connected to ourselves and our ego and our wounds with this Chiron North Node, and South Node in Libra connected to our relationships, and really like what we need to let go in our relationships, or relationships that need to be let go of. So words are, you want to be delicate with your words. You want to think before you speak and before you act as much as you can if you can control it, because this moon in Gemini has a hard time with that. Let's just be real. So I love Gemini. Don't get me wrong. I love Mercury. I love Virgo too. I know Gemini and Virgo always get the worst of the zodiac, right? They get made fun of the most. So, and that's fine. I don't have any Virgo or Gemini in my chart, so it's okay. My progressive Venus is in Gemini, actually. So, words are very delicate right now. Mars dispositing Mercury, it's easy to really get a little hot-headed and, just act before you even think, or get frustrated in your thinking. It's very easy to fall into that state over the next few days with this moon getting a little crazy in mutable land. So, yeah. But the positive outcome is really going to come from being able to remain neutral and look at both sides and have an understanding of everybody's perspective and come to a conclusion from that way, not just sit there and debate and just want to, ramble on and talk about things that really don't mean much, that don't really hold any weight, right? So, so got the Ten of Swords. So, it could be very tense here, I feel like when these mutable squares come in like this, especially with this Sun Neptune, and Neptune is dominating, and Venus and Pisces at its exaltation, and Neptune and its ruler, like this moon is not happy right now in Gemini. So, we have to be compassionate. We have to understand that, everybody's going through their own shit. We're all fighting our own battle here, and not everybody is in a, happy place. Although every day is different, especially in these mutable signs. It's like consistency it's not necessarily about consistency day to day right now. It's like, where we were at 2 days ago, this moon in Taurus, things were much more grounded, much more stable, and finally, for the first time, we were feeling stability. And now it's like, damn, like we're in a fucking wild freak show circus scenario here, But I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned going through this, especially with this moon squaring Saturn. It's like we gotta have boundaries with people. We gotta have, goals. We gotta, can't just be floating along here. And this moon in Gemini is going to be reminding us that, like, wow, we really gotta, stay on our routine and on our discipline, and definitely, don't fall into the trap of just wanting to escape. We got to have that spiritual discipline with this Saturn and Pisces. And to me, that's what Saturn and Pisces is teaching us, spiritual discipline, and also spiritual boundaries, setting boundaries. I mean, we're seeing it in the spiritual community. I want to say something that I've seen, actually. I don't really care that much, but I just noticed the past 2 weeks on social media with people in the spiritual community and other astrologers, like arguing and just calling each other out and talking shit on each other. It's like, man, like, that's what I'm feeling with this moon in Gemini squaring all these planets in Pisces. It's like we all have our own perspective. We all have different things to learn from. Like, I talk to other astrologers every day, and like, we share information and we teach each other new things. I'm learning new things every day. Like, it's, no one has the one way of doing things, and people are just buying into the drama, and it's really a dark force coming through trying to disrupt things. This Mars in Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, the dark force disruptor, right? So we don't want to let that shit win. Like, I got some messages like It's like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, you know, and one of my really good friends who's a big astrologer, like, you know, he's like, hey, man, like, could you help me, like, would you engage with this scenario? Because, like, could really use your support on this. I'm like, I can't even lend my energy to the negativity, you know? It's like looking at it from both angles. It's like, wow, like, you know, I see that the drama ensues and stirs up the pot and gets people thinking and talking, but at the same time, like, it's not the place that I want to be personally. So this moon in Gemini this weekend, and on this Friday, going into the weekend with the Sun-Neptune conjunction, it's definitely going to be challenging us to remain calm and look at things from both sides and be compassionate towards others as much as we can, and not just, you know, mouth off with this moon in Gemini and this Mercury in Aries and Mars dispositing Mercury. You know, it's going to be very testy on our relationships, for sure, as Mercury gets closer to the North Node, you know. So anyways, hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Thank God it's Friday, right? You know, I think going into next week, we'll get to the other side of things and we'll understand what this was all about. And definitely with the Sun-Neptune conjunction coming in, like, you know, we want to stay in that creative spiritual vibration, not fall into the low vibration of other people's judgments or other people's words, you know, or thoughts or opinions. This moon in Gemini, Mercury in Aries, it's just, you know, we want to stay high on that vibration, right? With this Sun-Neptune. Neptune and Venus is dominating the chart right now. Neptune and its ruler, Venus in its exalted sign. That's where we want to be. So don't let the wild, crazy shit and the crazy people take you into the circus. So have a wonderful Friday. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel, share this video. Find me on all my platforms, Instagram, Spotify, the TikTok. Supposedly it's going to get shut down. We'll see. I kind of hope so, to be honest, because, like, I wouldn't mind some serious holes torn into the fabric of our reality to shake shit up, right? And I think that's what could happen. But yeah, if you want to book a reading with me, the link to my booking website's in the description of this video, with all the links to all my platforms and all my social media of where I am and where you can find me. So have a wonderful Friday, and I will see you all for the weekend. Peace out.